Horseshoe Bay to Nanaimo Run. Duke Point was one of the first manifestations of BC Ferries' 10-year capital plan, a comprehensive strategy for coping with a projected 20% growth in population and 40% growth in ferry traffic over the next decade. The goals of the plan, broadly stated, to provide more efficient ferry operation and better service, achieve faster turnaround times and thus less waiting time at terminals, and to alleviate traffic congestion. To reach these goals, new and faster vessels will be built to replace aging ships in the fleet. At the same time, the plan calls for upgraded maintenance of the existing fleet and for enhanced maintenance and renovation of terminals and facilities. The 10-year plan also includes construction of new 100-vehicle, 600-passenger Century-class commuter ferries for smaller routes. The first of these, the Skeena Queen, was built at North Vancouver's Allied Shipyards and launched in January of 1997. The multifaceted 10-year capital plan had input from many sources and will give shape to BC Ferries operations for years to come.
We've tried to integrate the movement of goods and services and the transportation of people and goods in a way which has a long-term vision. But I think people now can see that it was part of a bigger strategy which takes us into the 21st century.
A major part of the 10-year plan involved a new generation of fast ferries coming into service. BC Ferries evaluated 21 varied proposals from companies around the world before making the final selection and deciding to go ahead with construction of 3 high-speed, aluminum-hulled catamaran ferries for service on the Horseshoe Bay to Nanaimo Run. Carrying 250 cars and 1,000 passengers, these new, faster ferries would cut 30 minutes off existing sailing times, making 12 runs per day compared with 8 with current vessels. More trips per day translates into smaller pulses of traffic at terminals per sailing and less traffic congestion. Once the decision had been made to go with the winning high-speed catamaran design from Kincaid of Australia, BC Ferries opted to draw on the knowledge and experience of Kincaid CEO Phil Hercus.
We saw in Philip Hercus a man that has had the experience of high-speed car ferries. He had also studied quite closely the needs of BC Ferries, and he came to the meeting prepared with a outline of a proposal of a ferry that would fit the BC docks.
We've had about 150 catamarans built to our designs. I think here we're really focusing on car-carrying vessels. I've lost count. It's around about 20 of those vessels.
Vancouver's Robert Allen Limited worked in partnership with Kincaid on the vessel's design.
The work split that we agreed on in the initial proposal was that Phil's company would certainly develop the hull form and all of the structural design, which is the essence of this sort of craft. And Robert Allen Limited would undertake all of the marine engineering, electrical, and outfitting aspects of the design. And that's the way it worked, and it worked out very well.
In April of 1996, BC Ferries established CFI, Catamaran Ferries International, to serve as a project management group for the Fast Ferries construction program. By June, 2 blocks east of the foot of Lonsdale in North Vancouver, construction was underway on the Pier 94 facility, the 9-story high shed that would house the assembly of the fast ferries. Too large and complex a project for any one company to manage, the building of the PacifiCat 1000, the first of the fast ferries, was underway by a number of BC shipyards.
I made a commitment that I wanted to build all the ships in British Columbia when I became the minister 7 years ago. So we made the bold step, really, of using the government's purchasing power and some investment in skills training to try to lever this industry into the new technology using the fast ferries as a catalyst.
BC Ferries looked at what the alternatives were, and the option that was selected as the most viable and the most acceptable to the industry here was for BC Ferries to form a subsidiary, Catamaran Ferries, to be the project manager and the central purchasing and quality team, but for the actual construction to be done in the private yards. And that's the way it works now, with CFI doing the working drawings, doing the purchasing, and project managing the construction.
Now let's take a look around the world and see what the other performers are doing in the business. So we went to Finland and to see what the Europeans were doing, and in fact set up a technology transfer with Fernes, who designed and built 3 of the largest ships. And as I say, they're only 3 meters longer than their ship. So we benchmarked ourselves against the best in Europe, and then we went to Australia and we benchmarked ourselves from the Australians.
Incat Tasmania is probably the world's largest builder of high-speed fast ferries, have been very, very cooperative and open in sharing information and technology with CFI and BC Ferries. It was predictable that there would be a big learning curve. Every other company in the world that has tackled one of these large ferries has experienced that and seen that.
Timing for the project couldn't have been better for the province's maritime industries.
When we started this project, the shipbuilding, if it wasn't dead, it was dying. The high-speed ferry has changed all that. It changed the focus. It allowed the shipyards to look forward, to look into the millennium. And I think the industry that we see it now is quite different to what it was in 1994. It's vibrant, it's alive, it's well.
The construction plan would be a cooperative enterprise involving many BC companies, feeding component parts of the vessel into CFI's Pier 94 facility.
Our ship is divided into over 100 specific modules. Each one is allocated to a partner. What you see here, you don't get in normal shipyards because we can build all 5 segments of the ship. Car decks, pontoons, accommodation, all in parallel. In order to do that, we would have to have a shipyard of a very large scale.
On August 9th, 1997, the public had the very first opportunity to view construction of the aluminum behemoth taking shape at the CFI facility.
This is where all of the pieces that are made by other subcontractors, for example, Alberni Engineering, Point Hope Engineering, Ramsey, Vancouver Shipyard, all come together here. This is where the ship takes shape. It's where all of their work comes together, and we assemble the ship here. We build it up in a Lego fashion.
August 27th.